The human liberation fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 200 ships built with the best of human innovation and captured alien technology. Each vessel carried not just weapons and soldiers, but teachers, doctors, and engineers ready to help. Enslaved species reclaim their freedom, Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo commanded, from his flagship Freedom's Dawn. The ship's name was written, in dozens of languages from across the galaxy, a message of hope for every enslaved world they would visit. Our first target is the Kepler 442 system, Admiral Hyunwoo announced to his fleet commanders. Intelligence reports indicate it is a major industrial center with over 12 billion enslaved beings from 6 different species. The humans had learned that simply defeating the consortium military would not be enough. The enslaved species needed help to break free from thousands of years of conditioning. Many of them no longer remembered how to make decisions for themselves. Dr. Seo-young led the psychological rehabilitation team. She had developed new methods to help freed slaves recover their ability to think independently. The mind control devices are just the beginning, she explained to her staff. The real control comes from generations of breeding and training that convince these beings they are incapable of freedom. The Liberation Fleet arrived at Kepler 442 to find a massive industrial complex. Orbital factories and mining platforms surrounded the planet. Millions of alien workers toiled in the facilities producing goods for the consortium empire. The defending fleet was small and outdated. Most of their ships had been recalled to protect the consortium core worlds. The few remaining vessels surrendered immediately when they saw the human force. Admiral Hyunwoo broadcast a message to the planet below. People of Kepler 442, we are humans from Earth. We have come to offer you something your masters said was impossible. We offer you freedom. The response was silence. The enslaved beings below had never heard such words before. Human diplomat Soo-young led the first contact team to the planet's surface. What she found broke her heart. Billions of intelligent beings living in cramped dormitories, working 18-hour shifts, eating processed nutrition paste, and never questioning their fate. The dominant species on the planet was called the Zenthari. They had been enslaved so long that they had forgotten their original culture, language, and history. They knew only work and obedience. We are here to help you, Soo-young told a group of Zenthari workers through her translator device. The workers looked confused and frightened. Help us do what? One of them asked. Whatever you want to do, Soo-young replied. This answer only made them more confused. They had never been asked what they wanted before. It took weeks of patient work, but slowly the humans began to make progress. They started by improving living conditions, better food, shorter work hours, and medical care for the sick. They did not force any changes, but they showed the enslaved beings that life could be different. Dr. Seo-young worked with individuals who showed signs of recovering independent thought. Tell me about your dreams, she asked a young Zenthari female named Kiva. I am not supposed to dream, Kiva replied nervously. Dreams are inefficient, but do you dream anyway? Kiva was quiet for a long time. Finally, she whispered, Sometimes I dream about colors, not the gray of the factories, but bright colors like I see in some of the old ruins outside the city. This was a breakthrough. Deep inside, the enslaved being still had imagination and curiosity. The human job was to help these feelings grow stronger. Commander Ji-hoon led the military teams that destroyed the mind control networks on each world they liberated. The alien control systems were sophisticated, but they had a weakness. They were designed to control predictable, obedient minds. When faced with human chaos and creativity, the systems often malfunctioned. The control network on this world affects over 8 billion beings, Ji-hoon reported to Admiral Hyunwoo. But if we can disable the main transmission stations, the effects will fade within days. The operation was more complex than simply destroying the stations. The humans had to replace the control signals with educational broadcasts. Instead of commands to obey, the freed slaves received lessons about their own history, culture, and rights. On the industrial world of Ross 128b, the humans discovered an enslaved species that had once been spacefaring engineers. The Vorthak had built great cities and explored distant stars before the consortium conquered them 3,000 years ago. Look at this, Engineer Jisoo said as she examined ancient Vorthak ruins. Their original technology was actually more advanced than current consortium systems. They were forced to forget their own innovations. The liberation of Ross 128b became a model for future operations. The humans did not just free the slaves. They helped them rediscover their own cultural heritage and technological capabilities. Within months, the Vorthak were building their own ships and joining the Liberation fleet. Their engineering skills combined with human tactics created vessels that surpassed both human and consortium designs. The alliance grew with each liberated world. The Zenthari proved to be excellent manufacturers and began producing weapons and supplies for the liberation forces. The Kalari, freed from agricultural slave worlds, provided food and medicine. The Threnodi, former mining slaves, offered rare materials and metallurgy expertise. Agent Eugen intercepted increasingly desperate communications from the consortium homeworlds. "Sir, they are trying to recall all their scattered forces, but many ship crews are refusing orders. Some entire fleets are defecting to join us." This was the psychological turning point of the war. For thousands of years, the consortium had convinced everyone that resistance was futile. Now their own forces were abandoning them to join the humans. The liberated species were learning to fight, but they were also learning something more important. They were learning to cooperate as equals rather than as masters and slaves. On the former slave world of Proxima Centauri b, representatives from 27 different species met to form the Galactic Liberation Council. For the first time in millennia, free beings were making decisions about their own future. Human diplomat Su Yung addressed the assembly. "We did not come to rule you. We came to help you rule yourselves. The decisions about your worlds and your lives should be made by you, not by us or anyone else." This concept was revolutionary. Even species that remembered freedom from before their enslavement had never imagined a galaxy where different peoples cooperated as equals. The military situation continued to improve for the liberation forces. Admiral Hyunwoo's fleet had grown to over 800 ships crewed by dozens of different species. Each crew brought their own unique skills and perspectives to the fight. Dr. Taehyun's research teams made another important discovery. The consortium's 12 ruling species were not actually superior to their slaves. Genetic analysis showed that they had been ordinary beings who simply conquered others earlier in galactic history. They maintained their power through technology and psychological control, Dr. Taehyun reported. But without their slave empire, they have no special advantages. This information was broadcast throughout the galaxy. The myth of consortium superiority was finally broken. Enslaved beings everywhere learned that their masters were not gods or superior races, just bullies who had held power for too long. The end came faster than anyone expected. As world after world joined the liberation, the consortium's industrial base collapsed. Their ships ran out of fuel and ammunition. Their soldiers had no food or supplies. Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo received a message from the consortium Supreme Council. They wanted to negotiate surrender terms. "Tell them we will accept nothing less than the complete abolition of slavery throughout the galaxy," Admiral Hyunwoo replied. "Any species that wants to govern itself will be allowed to do so. Any species that wants to join the Galactic Liberation Council as equals will be welcomed." The war was ending, but the real work was just beginning. Rebuilding a galaxy after thousands of years of slavery would take generations. But for the first time in ages, every being in the galaxy had hope that such a future was possible. The humans had proven that freedom was not just a dream. It was a choice that any species could make if they had the courage to fight for it. 1 year after the invasion began, the massive alien fleet retreated to the edge of Earth's solar system. They had not conquered a single human city. Instead, they were running out of supplies and losing ships every day. General Sung-ho stood in the command center of humanity's newest space station. Built in just 8 months using a mixture of human and captured alien technology, it was more advanced than anything the consortium had ever created. "Operation Reversal is ready to begin," he announced to his staff. "Today we capture their command ship." The plan was bold beyond imagination. Instead of slowly pushing the aliens back, the humans would strike directly at the heart of the enemy fleet. They would capture the consortium leadership alive. Dr. Taehyun had spent months studying captured alien biology. His research had revealed the terrible truth about the consortium species. "General, these beings are physically weak," he reported. "Centuries of depending on slaves has caused severe genetic decline. They can barely function without artificial support systems." This explained many things. The alien soldiers moved slowly and tired easily. Their reaction times were poor. They seemed to need constant guidance from their commanders to perform even simple tasks. It gets worse, Dr. Taehyun continued. Their homeworlds are completely dependent on slave labor. They import all food, manufactured goods, and raw materials from conquered systems. Without their empire, they cannot survive. Agent Eugen had infiltrated an alien communication network and discovered classified information about the consortium worlds. Sir, their planets have no farms, no factories, and no mines. Everything is done by slaves on other worlds. If the slave supply stops, their civilization will collapse within months. General Sung-ho studied the tactical displays. The alien command ship was massive, 10 times larger than any human vessel. It was protected by thousands of escort ships and the most powerful shields in the consortium fleet. How do we get through all those defenses? His aide asked. We do not go through them, Engineer Jisoo replied. We go around them. She had been working on humanity's most secret project. Using captured alien teleportation technology, human scientists had built something the aliens thought was impossible, a device that could transport entire ships instantly across space. The aliens use teleportation for small objects and individuals, Jisoo explained. They think it is impossible to teleport something as large as a spacecraft. They are wrong. The plan was simple in concept but incredibly dangerous. Human ships would teleport directly inside the alien defensive formation. They would capture the command ship before the escorts could react. Captain Dong-hyun would lead the assault team. His ship New Hope had been modified with the experimental teleportation system. 12 other ships would accompany him on the mission. Remember, we want prisoners, not casualties, General Sung-ho reminded them. These alien leaders have information we need about their empire. The attack began at dawn, Earth time. The human ships activated their teleportation devices and disappeared. Across the solar system, alien sensors detected the energy signatures, but by the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. 13 human ships materialized inside the alien command ship's docking bays. The aliens had never imagined that anyone could penetrate their most secure facility so easily. Human Marines poured out of the ships and spread throughout the massive vessel. They moved with the coordination and speed that only free beings could achieve. The alien crew, bred for centuries to follow orders, could not adapt to this kind of rapid assault. Commander Hwan tried to organize a defense, but his communications were jammed by human electronic warfare systems. His security forces were trapped in their barracks by human hackers who had taken control of the ship's door systems. Agent Jae-won led the team that captured the ship's computer core. Within minutes, human technicians were downloading the entire database of consortium military secrets. Star charts, fleet positions, slave world locations, and government codes all fell into human hands. Sir, we have accessed their command network, Jae-won reported to Captain Dong-hyun. I can see every consortium ship in the galaxy. The information was staggering. The alien empire was much larger than humans had realized, but it was also much weaker. Most consortium ships were old cargo vessels used to transport slaves and supplies. Their actual military force was small and spread thinly across thousands of star systems. The capture of the alien leadership was almost anticlimactic. Commander Hwan and the other high-ranking officers surrendered without a fight when human Marines reached the bridge. They seemed more confused than frightened. Why are you doing this? Hwan asked Captain Dong-hyun. We came to offer you a place in our empire. You could have been supervisors over other slave species. We do not want to rule other species, Dong-hyun replied. We want to free them. The alien commander stared at him in genuine bewilderment. Free them? But what would they do with freedom? This response showed how completely the consortium had forgotten what freedom meant. They could not imagine why anyone would want independence instead of security as a slave. The captured alien leaders were brought to Earth and displayed to the world's media. For the first time, humans could see their enemies clearly. The beings who had terrorized the galaxy for millennia looked weak and frightened without their technology and slave armies. President Min Seok addressed the United Nations and the captured aliens simultaneously. You came to our world expecting to find another species you could enslave. Instead, you found people who remember what freedom means. Now you will learn that lesson as well. But the humans were not cruel to their prisoners. Unlike the aliens who used torture and mind control, the humans treated their captives with basic dignity. They provided medical care, adequate food, and clean living conditions. Dr. Minji interviewed the captured aliens to understand their psychology. What she found was both sad and disturbing. These beings have lived as masters for so long that they cannot conceive of any other way of life. They genuinely believe that slavery is natural and freedom is dangerous. The effect on the rest of the alien fleet was immediate and dramatic. Without their commandship and leadership, the consortium forces began to withdraw from Earth's solar system, but they had nowhere to go. Human forces now controlled the strategic initiative. Engineer Jaewon's team had cracked all the consortium communication codes. Every alien message was intercepted and decoded by human intelligence. The aliens could not coordinate their forces or plan new attacks without the humans knowing about it in advance. More importantly, the humans began broadcasting to enslaved species throughout the galaxy. Using captured consortium communication networks, they sent messages to every slave world in the Empire. People of the galaxy, the message began. We are humans from the planet Earth. The consortium told you that resistance is impossible. They lied. We have defeated their greatest fleet and captured their leaders. Freedom is possible. We can teach you how to fight. The response was immediate. On dozens of worlds, enslaved species began to whisper about the humans who had defeated the mighty consortium. For the first time in thousands of years, slaves began to dream of rebellion. Agent Eugen monitored the alien communication networks and reported increasing panic among consortium officials. Sir, they are recalling ships from all over the galaxy. They know their empire is starting to collapse. General Sung-ho studied the strategic situation. The aliens were consolidating their forces, but this actually made them weaker. When their ships were spread across many systems, it was hard to attack them all. Now that they were gathering together, they presented a single target. Prepare the Liberation Fleet, he ordered. It is time to take this war to their home systems. The humans had learned something important during their year of fighting. They were not just defending Earth anymore. They were leading a galactic revolution. Every victory made them stronger and their enemies weaker. The alien empire had ruled through fear and superior technology. But the humans had proven that technology could be copied and improved. And fear worked both ways. Now it was the aliens who were afraid. The war was entering its final phase. Soon the former masters of the galaxy would learn what their slaves had endured for thousands of years. But unlike the aliens, the humans would offer redemption along with defeat. 3 months had passed since the invasion began. The aliens still controlled most of Earth's orbit, but they had not captured a single major city. Every landing attempt ended in disaster. Dr. Yunji studied the psychological reports from captured alien soldiers. What she found amazed her. Admiral, these beings have no concept of independent thinking, she told Admiral Kyung. They have been slaves for so long that they cannot make decisions without orders from above. This explained why the aliens struggled when their communications were jammed. Without constant direction from their commanders, the individual soldiers became helpless. Captain Dongyun was preparing for humanity's first counterattack beyond Earth's atmosphere. His ship, the New Hope, was built using captured alien technology combined with human innovations. It looked strange, like a human jet had been crossed with an alien vessel. Are you sure this will work? His engineer asked as they prepared for launch. The math is solid, Engineer Jisoo replied over the radio from her laboratory. We have successfully copied their faster-than-light drive, but we have made improvements to the design. The human scientists had been busy. They did not just copy alien technology, they made it better. The alien ships were built to last for centuries without maintenance. This made them strong, but slow to change. Human ships were built to be modified and upgraded quickly. Captain Donghyun's mission was simple but dangerous. Intelligence reports showed 3 alien supply bases in the outer solar system. If these bases could be destroyed, the main alien fleet would run out of fuel and ammunition. All ships prepare for jump, Donghyun commanded his small fleet of 12 vessels. The human ships disappeared in flashes of light. Seconds later, they appeared near the first alien supply base. The base defenders were not ready for an attack. They had never been attacked before. The human ships struck fast and hard. Instead of trying to destroy the base, they captured it. Human Marines boarded the station and took control of the alien workers inside. Do not resist, and you will not be harmed, Lieutenant Wanho announced to the alien prisoners. But the aliens did not resist. They could not resist. Without orders telling them to fight, they simply stood still and waited. Scientist Yuna examined the captured aliens. She made a shocking discovery. These beings are not just mentally controlled, she reported. Their species has been genetically modified over many generations. They have lost the ability to think for themselves. This was how the Galactic Consortium really worked. They did not just conquer species, they changed them. Over hundreds of years, they bred the fight out of their slaves. They made them dependent and obedient. How long has this been going on? Admiral Kayong asked. Based on the genetic evidence, at least 10,000 years, Yuna replied. The consortium has been doing this to species across the galaxy. The implications were huge. The entire alien empire was built on enslaved species who could no longer remember how to be free. Only the 12 original consortium species still ruled, and they had forgotten how to fight real battles. Captain Donghyun's raids continued. His ships hit supply bases, communication stations, and fuel depots throughout the outer solar system. Each attack taught the humans more about their enemy. The captured alien soldiers provided valuable intelligence, not because they were forced to talk, but because they did not understand that they should not talk. They answered every question honestly and completely. Where is your main command center? Human interrogator Jae-hwan asked an alien prisoner. The Supreme Command Ship is located at coordinates 127.4 by 89.7 relative to your star. The alien replied immediately. How many ships does your fleet have? Our current force consists of 47,832 combat vessels and 12,486 support ships. The alien gave detailed information about weapons, shields, troop numbers, and battle plans. He seemed to think the humans were new consortium officials who had a right to know these things. Back on Earth, the human resistance was growing stronger. The aliens had managed to land troops in several locations, but they could not hold any territory. Human fighters used guerrilla tactics that the aliens had never encountered. Commander Hwan studied reports from the ground battles. His troops were trained to fight other organized armies or to control slave populations. They did not know how to fight enemies who hid among civilians and struck without warning. Sir, we have lost another supply convoy, his aide reported. Human fighters destroyed it with improvised explosives. How is this possible? Our intelligence said humans only fight conventional battles. Sir, I believe the humans are adapting their warfare methods as they learn about us. This was exactly what was happening. Military psychologist Dr. Yoonji called it tactical evolution. The humans were changing their fighting methods every few days. Just when the aliens thought they understood human tactics, the humans would try something completely new. The breakthrough came when Captain Donghyun captured the alien regional commander during a raid on a communication station. Unlike the regular soldiers, this alien had more independence and could provide strategic information. Your empire controls how many star systems? Dr. Minji asked during the interrogation. The consortium directly administers 4,247 systems and maintains tributary relationships with an additional 1,833 systems, the commander replied. And all of these systems provide slaves for your empire? Of course, that is the natural order. Strong species rule, weak species serve. But Dr. Minji heard something else in the alien's voice. Fear. This being was terrified of something. What happens if the slave species rebel? The alien's eyes widened. That is impossible. The conditioning prevents independent action. The genetic modifications ensure compliance. Rebellion cannot occur. But what if it did occur? The alien was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. The consortium worlds cannot function without slave labor. We have not performed manual work for thousands of years. If the slaves stopped working. He did not finish the sentence. Dr. Minji understood. The consortium was not just dependent on slaves for luxury. They needed slaves to survive. Their own. People no longer knew how to grow food, build machines, or maintain their cities. This information changed everything. Humanity was not just fighting for Earth. They were fighting for every enslaved species in the galaxy. Admiral Kyung called together his top officers. We are going to change our strategy. Instead of just defending Earth, we are going to liberate the galaxy." Some officers thought this was impossible. How could one species defeat an empire that had ruled for thousands of years? But Engineer Jisoo had been analyzing captured alien technology. "Sir, their empire is actually very weak. They rely completely on enslaved species for everything. If we can free just a few key systems, their whole empire will start to collapse." Captain Donghyun was already planning the next phase of operations. "We need to contact other enslaved species. If we can teach them to fight back, we will have allies throughout the galaxy." The plan was risky. Human ships would have to travel deep into alien territory and contact species that had been slaves for generations. Many of these species might not even remember what freedom meant. But the humans had learned something important about themselves during the past 3 months. They did not just fight to win battles. They fought to free others. It was not enough to save Earth. They had to save everyone. As the human ships prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, Commander Hwan received new orders from the Consortium High Command. More ships were coming to Earth. The most powerful fleet in Consortium history was being assembled. But Hwan was beginning to worry. The humans had already proven they could adapt to any situation. What if they could adapt to this new threat as, well, he did not know that the humans were counting on it. They wanted the aliens to bring their entire fleet to Earth. It would be easier to defeat the enemy if all their ships were in one place. The real war was about to begin. The alien fleet filled the sky above Earth like storm clouds. 50,000 ships blocked out the stars. On the largest vessel, Commander Hwan gave his final orders. "Begin the attack. Target major population centers first. We want survivors, not ashes." Beams of energy struck down from the alien ships. They hit military bases and government buildings around the world. But the humans had prepared. Most important facilities had been moved underground or hidden in remote locations. Admiral Kyung commanded Earth's defense fleet from a bunker deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. His voice was calm as he spoke to his captains around the world. "All ships, this is Admiral Kyung. Execute Plan Delta. Remember, we are not trying to win. We are trying to learn." The human ships moved out to meet the aliens. They were much smaller and slower than the enemy vessels, but they had one advantage. The aliens expected them to fight like every other species they had conquered. Captain Daeho piloted his destroyer toward the nearest alien ship. His crew had trained for weeks with the new equipment Engineer Jisoo had built. It was not much, but it might work. "Target the bright spots on their hull," Daeho ordered. "Those are the power sources for their shields." The human missiles were different now. Instead of explosive warheads, they carried electronic devices designed to drain energy. When they hit the alien's shield, they did not explode. They attached themselves and began to feed on the shield's power. The alien commander on the targeted ship watched in confusion as his shield strength began to drop. "What is happening? Their weapons should not be able to affect us." More human missiles hit his ship. Each one drained more power from the shields. Soon the barrier that had protected alien ships for centuries began to flicker and fade. "Impossible," the alien captain said, but his shields continued to weaken. When the shields failed completely, the human ships fired their regular weapons. Metal bullets and explosive missiles tore into the alien hull. The first consortium ship was destroyed. On the command ship, Hwan stared at his screens in disbelief. No primitive species had ever destroyed one of their vessels. How did they do that? His science officer studied the data from the destroyed ship. "Sir, they targeted our shield generators with some kind of energy-draining weapon. We have never seen this technology before. Then we will adapt. Order all ships to increase shield power and focus fire on the human fleet." But the humans had already moved to their next strategy. Dr. Minji had made an important discovery during the first alien scout mission. She had studied the aliens' communication signals and learned something valuable. "Admiral, I can jam their communications," Dr. Minji reported from her lab. "Their ships talk to each other using a very specific frequency. If we broadcast on the same frequency, we can confuse their orders." "Do it," Admiral Kyung commanded. Suddenly, the organized alien attack became chaos. Ships received contradictory orders. Some were told to attack, others to retreat. Wing formations broke apart as pilots tried to follow conflicting commands. Lieutenant Commander Wanho took advantage of the confusion. He led a squadron of fighters through the gaps in the alien formation. The human ships were small enough to fly between the larger alien vessels. "Target their engines," Wanho ordered. "We cannot destroy them all, but we can stop them from moving." The human fighters swarmed around the alien ships like angry bees. They fired at engine ports and weapon systems. The aliens had powerful shields, but they were designed to stop large attacks from the front. They were not built to handle small, fast fighters attacking from all directions. Engineer Jisoo watched the battle from her command center. She was already working on the next problem. "We need to capture one of their ships intact," she told her team. "I want to see how their technology really works." The opportunity came when a damaged alien ship crashed into Earth's ocean. Human divers reached the wreck before the aliens could destroy it. Inside, they found technology beyond their imagination. "Look at this," Jisoo said, as she examined an alien computer. "Their data storage can hold the information from 1,000 human libraries, and their power systems are incredibly efficient." But she also noticed something else. The alien technology was old. Very old. The designs had not changed in centuries. They have not improved their systems in a long time, she realized. They have been using the same weapons and shields for generations. Dr. Minji made another discovery when she examined the alien crew members who survived the crash. "Their brain patterns are different from ours," she told the research team. "They think in very organized, predictable ways. That is why our chaos tactics confuse them so much." She tried to understand how the aliens controlled other species. They used devices that sent signals directly into the brain. These devices forced slaves to obey orders without question. "Let me test this on myself," Dr. Minji said. "Absolutely not," her assistant protested. "It could damage your mind," but Dr. Minji was determined to understand the enemy. She put on the alien control device and activated it. Pain shot through her head like lightning, but something unexpected happened. Instead of controlling her mind, the device began to smoke and spark. "It does not work on us," she said, pulling off the damaged device. "Human brains are too chaotic for their control systems." This was huge news. The aliens controlled their empire through mind control devices. If these devices did not work on humans, then humans could not be made into slaves like other species. Admiral Kyung received reports from around the world. The aliens were winning the battle, but not as easily as they had expected. Human ships continued to use new tactics that the aliens had never seen before. "Sir, we have destroyed 12 alien ships and damaged over 100 more, his aide reported, but we have lost 53 of our own vessels. The numbers were not good. The humans were losing ships faster than they could replace them, but they were learning with every encounter. Captain Daeho survived his third battle of the day. His ship was damaged, but still flying. He had personally destroyed 2 alien vessels using tactics that no military academy had ever taught. The key is unpredictability, he reported to Admiral Kyung. Every time we do something new, it takes them time to figure out how to respond. We need to keep changing our methods. The battle continued for days. The aliens slowly pushed the human ships back toward Earth, but with each victory, they paid a higher price. The humans were getting better at fighting, while the aliens were just getting more confused. Commander Huan had never experienced a battle like this. Usually, primitive species either surrendered immediately or were destroyed within hours. The humans had been fighting for a week and were actually getting stronger. "Sir, we need reinforcements," his aide suggested. "These humans are not like other species." Huan agreed. He sent a message to the consortium home worlds. "Send more ships. The humans are proving more difficult than expected." But he did not understand the real problem yet. The aliens had forgotten how to fight a real war. For centuries, they had only fought against slaves and primitives who gave up quickly. They had never faced an enemy that refused to surrender and learned from every defeat. The humans were about to teach them what real warfare looked like. The massive alien ship moved through space like a metal mountain. Inside the command center, Commander Huan studied the blue planet on his screen. Earth looked peaceful from this distance. Too peaceful. Sir, we have completed our scan of the third planet, his officer reported. The humans have primitive technology. Their weapons are basic. They fight each other constantly. Juan nodded. This would be easy. The Galactic Consortium had done this many times before. Find a weak planet, take the people, make them slaves. It had worked for thousands of years across hundreds of worlds. How many humans live there? Juan asked. About 8 billion, sir. They are divided into many small groups called countries. These countries often fight each other over resources and territory. Perfect, Juan thought. A divided species was always easier to conquer. When people fought each other, they could not fight together against invaders. Send scouts to gather more information. I want to know about their military strength. 3 small ships left the main fleet and headed toward Earth. They moved carefully, trying not to be seen. But the humans had satellites watching space. Captain Daiho was on duty at the Earth Defense Command when the alarm started ringing. Sir, we have unknown objects approaching Earth, the radar operator said. They are not following any known flight patterns. Daiho looked at the screen. 3 objects moved toward Earth in a way that no human ship could fly. They changed direction too quickly and moved too smoothly. Sound the alert. Contact all military bases. We may have visitors. Within minutes, fighter jets launched from bases around the world. The alien scouts had expected this. Most primitive species had some kind of air defense. But they were not worried. Their ships had shields that could stop any primitive weapon. The first human jets reached the alien scouts over the Pacific Ocean. Pilot Wan Ho was leading the squadron. He had never seen anything like the ships in front of him. They were smooth and silver with no visible engines or weapons. Unknown aircraft, you are in restricted airspace. Identify yourself or we will open fire, Wan Ho said over the radio. The aliens did not respond. They continued flying toward the coastline. Wan Ho fired a warning shot. His missile hit the alien ship but bounced off harmlessly. The alien craft did not even slow down. Base, this is Eagle 1. Our weapons have no effect on the targets. Back on the alien command ship, Juan watched the encounter. As expected, their weapons cannot harm our shields. Continue the mission. But something unexpected happened. The human pilots did not retreat. Instead, they began flying in complex patterns around the alien ships. They took pictures and videos from every angle. They measured the ship's speed and movements. They tested different weapons to see what might work. Intelligence Officer Nari was watching from Earth's military command center. She saw something the aliens did not expect. The humans were learning. Sir, look at this, Nari told her commander. The pilots are gathering data on the alien technology. They are already trying to figure out how it works. This was unusual. Most species either ran away when they met superior technology, or they attacked blindly until they were destroyed. The humans were doing something different. They were studying their enemy. The alien scouts completed their mission and returned to the main fleet. Commander Juan reviewed their reports. The humans had 8 billion people, hundreds of different governments, and technology that was at least 200 years behind consortium standards. They should be easy to defeat, Juan told his officers. We will follow the standard plan. Destroy their major cities from orbit, land troops at key locations, round up the survivors for processing. But his science officer had noticed something strange in the data. Sir, the humans showed unusual behavior during the encounter. Instead of fleeing, they studied our ships. Their response time was also very fast. Within minutes, they had aircraft in the sky. Juan dismissed this concern. All species struggle when they first meet us. It means nothing. On Earth, the governments of the world were meeting in emergency session. President Min Seok of South Korea spoke for many leaders when he said, "We must work together. This threat is bigger than any of our individual nations." For the first time in centuries, the major powers of Earth agreed on something. They would share technology and resources. They would fight as one species, not as separate countries. Engineer Jisoo was part of the team studying the video footage from the encounter. She noticed something important. The alien ships have some kind of energy barrier around them. But look here, she pointed at the screen. When our missile hit, there was a small flash of light. The barrier uses energy to work. If we can drain that energy, maybe we can break through. Dr. Minji was working on a different problem. We need to understand why they are here. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already. They want something from us, she was right. The Galactic Consortium did not destroy planets. They harvested them. They took the people and put them to work in mines, factories, and farms across the galaxy. Slaves were valuable. Dead planets were not. As the days passed, more alien ships arrived in Earth's solar system. Soon there were thousands of them, waiting just beyond the orbit of Mars. The message was clear: surrender or be destroyed. But the humans did not surrender. Instead, they worked faster than they had ever worked before. Factories that had made cars started making weapons. Scientists who had competed with each other began sharing their research. The species that had been divided by borders and languages united against a common enemy. Commander Juan received reports about the human activity. "Sir, they are mobilizing their entire planet. Every nation is contributing resources to their military effort." This surprised Juan. Most species had leaders who would try to make deals with the consortium. They would offer to help enslave their own people in exchange for power or safety. The humans seemed to be doing the opposite. "It does not matter," Juan decided. "We have conquered species far more advanced than these humans. Begin the invasion." As the alien fleet moved toward Earth, Captain Dejo prepared his small force of human ships. They had only 200 vessels against 50,000 alien ships. The odds were impossible. But the humans had learned something important in the past few weeks. They had learned that they were not alone in the universe. And they had learned that some things were worth fighting for, even when victory seemed impossible. The battle for Earth was about to begin,